I'm super excited because tonight's guest is Gene E. Willoughby II, and he's going to be talking to us about his new Kickstarter. How are you doing today, Gene?
I'm doing pretty good. Good to see you again.
Yes, I'm super excited because we're at another Kickstarter of yours.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
So, without any spoilers, give us a little bit about what this Kickstarter is all about.
Okay. This is my new project. It's called The Last Age, Book One. This is 5 connected short stories, 60 pages. They take place during the final age of mankind, same universe as the Sunstroms. Um, and we meet a hero named Messian Spacefarer who is leading his team, his kingdom of superheroes called Protectorate Team Art against the Raken, who are this group of villains who are just out to subjugate everything. The crux of the story is that during this final battle that they're actually actively engaged in, we find out everything from the beginning of time, all of the secrets of the superheroes, the origins of where heroes come from, where villains come from, where their superpowers come from, why they have superpowers, um, how you get superpowers, all these things, why good and evil even have to face off generation after generation. So we find out all those types of things in this final confrontation that is ongoing. So what I've done is I've structured these 5 stories as if you're reading about superheroes in some ancient religious that you have found somewhere, and somebody is telling you these stories, almost the feel of somebody's grandfather saying, "Hey, sit down, let me tell you the story of Superman." And so I've done it that way, and so I'm excited about it. I've been working on this honestly for like 20 years or so. Um,
Wow.
yeah, this is everything I've been doing since I was in my 20s, having odd jobs. When we had downtime working retail, I'd be at the counter kind of writing stuff down and all this. This is that. So I've been working on this for a long time.
What made you to finally decide to like release it, or was it because it's in a particular order to your storyline?
Well, this was the original thing that I wrote. The Sunstroms came along, and I realized because they were explorers, I could explore all of these different corners of the universe I created with those characters, and you could kind of see it through their eyes. And then when I got to the Sunstroms number 3, I introduced these characters from the Last Age, and in sort of a crossover. And then I realized, okay, it would be a great time to go ahead and kind of start with book 1 of the Last Age itself.
Gotcha. Okay. And then so now this is 5 short stories all together in one anthology, correct?
Right, right, right.
Okay.
You get all 5 together, and even though they're 5 separate stories, they all connect. They're done in a way that show you different angles of the Protectorate and how it's structured. I wanted to show you from the beginning of the world where the powers came from. I wanted to show you how the world sees these heroes. I wanted you to see how a hero gets her powers, because you'll see that Quotient has a story all to herself that shows you how she gets her powers, and that'll show you how everybody gets their powers. Um, I want you to see how Messian gets his sword, and I've got the 5th story is actually what ties into the Sunstroms number 3.
Oh, okay. So this leads all into Sunstroms number 3.
Right, right.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then so do people have to read the other books in order to follow this anthology, or do you think they can pick up the anthology and go backwards from there?
No, you don't have to read anything to enjoy the one book that you're reading. I'm a big proponent of that. Like, I don't want you to have to read anything, but I want it to be that if you do read it all, then it kind of enriches the whole thing,
Mhm.
But I do want you to be able to enjoy the individual thing that you're reading at that time.
And you did it purposely because is this the type of style that you like to read in, or is this just the type of style that you like to write in?
I think it's both. I don't like to like, I want to feel like I have enough freedom that I can miss something and it's okay.
Mhm.
But I also want to feel like if I have enjoyed it, and I want to read more, then it's going to give me a larger tapestry. Lord of the Rings is a good example of that. The more you read, the bigger the world gets for you. But if you only read The Hobbit, you're good. You
Yeah.
know, if that's what you decide, that's all you want, then that's good. You know.
When it comes to writing and creating your artwork, do you have like a ritual that you go through? Like you have family time and then you're like, okay, this is my time, or like a type of music that you listen to? What's your ritual for creating?
Um, I'd like to say I have one because that I'll, I just steal an hour or two when I can get it. Sometimes sometimes it makes sense. Like on a Saturday, I get up in the morning and nobody's really doing anything. I'm like, okay, I can draw for like 2 hours.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm sitting up in the bed like right before I go to sleep and doing something, but I just make sure I get those 1 or 2 hours a day. It's easier when I have everything, I have all my layouts done and I've got a whole script written. If I can get to that point, then it's easy because then it just becomes, okay, today I'm going to pencil, tomorrow I'm going to ink, and the next day I'm going to color. And if I can get in that type of pattern, then it becomes kind of a routine. Um, but while I'm doing layouts and writing, it gets hectic because you can't rush it, and
Mhm.
you know you get done today whatever you get done. Some days it's 2 pages, some days it's nothing. So
Yeah, yeah. I feel that. I completely understand because you are a busy human being aside from creating. You have a family, you have a daytime job, you have
right,
your Clark Kent job.
right,
And so I was just wondering because I know we have discussed this before, trying to schedule things out and making sure you have time for family, making sure you're
right.
not burnt out from the day. So I didn't know. I was wondering if you had a ritual or how do you even process the time to, okay, let me get my head in the game. Because that's a lot of struggle too for a lot of
Yeah,
people that have, lives
yeah,
aside from creating.
yeah. The biggest thing for me is just to make sure that I know what it is I'm supposed to be working on. When I was working on The Last Age, I had a pattern. I guess my rhythm was get a Sunstroms page done and get a Last Age page done.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I was just alternating between pages. And then, some days I would say, well, I'm a little bit behind on this one. So I'll do 3 Sunstroms pages in a row and then get back to Last Age. But I had a rhythm. And now that book 1 is done and I've only got like 7 pages left on Sunstroms number 4, then I have to figure out something else now because I got to go back into doing layouts. I need to do outlines for the next book. And so um, like I said, the writing part doesn't happen as quickly for me as art pages.
Okay. Do you feel like that's your Achilles heel is the writing?
No, I'm actually a writer first.
Okay.
It's just that it doesn't happen as quickly,
Gotcha.
and it is what, like, when you get stuck, you get stuck, and there's no, like, you can't just erase it and say I'm going to draw these lines over. It's just, there's something that's not working about the way these characters are talking, and I just need to put it to the side for a minute.
I
And
was
so,
getting ready to ask, how do you shift that? Like, how do you
yeah,
break from that stuckness? So you just walk away?
yeah, sometimes it's just a matter of going to sleep on it and looking at it fresh in the morning. I found, like, if I go to bed thinking about something, by the time I get up in the morning, I can just look at it differently than I did yesterday, and that helps. Um, Sometimes it's or just a random conversation at work, or you see an interaction with some people and you're like, oh, you know what, that'll work. So
You draw inspiration from every day, and is
yeah.
there an artist too that lately that you've been kind of gravitating to or a writer that you've been gravitating to lately?
um been gravitating a lot towards Mark Wade. I was always a fan of his, going back to Kingdom Come, but in his newer stuff that he's doing for DC, I'm actually realizing that he has a timelessness to his writing. It's almost storybook style,
Oh,
and
wow.
I like that a lot. And just looking at the I mean, just the piles and piles of comics that he's kind of written over the years, like that's amazing to me. So I've just been looking at his style and how he's able to, sometimes a writer will lose that thing over time, you
Mhm.
know, and he hasn't for whatever reason. And so I think that's something to look at too, getting to be my age.
You say it, but you're still young. You're still
Yeah,
you
I
know.
am. I am.
But I get it, because sometimes it does feel like, you well, I don't know for you, but for me, like, I wake up and I'm like, "Oh, but why does that hurt? But why?" But we're still young, so
Right.
it is all about perspective with that. So if your characters could do a one-shot crossover with another comic book characters, who would you love to see your characters collab with?
Mm. Um, I was talking to I was talking to Danny Quick yesterday,
Good Ace
and
Blade, yes.
yeah, and I think a Messian Spacefarer Ace Blade crossover would be
Ooh.
great. Because we talked about Messian having his special sword, and Ace Blade uses swords, and we could do something pretty nice with that.
I would
Yeah,
love to see that collab. 'Cause haven't you guys ha one of you did a cover for the other, correct?
yeah, I did a variant cover when he was doing Ace Blade #1 variants. I got in on that, and we kind of came up with a cover together. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, that I think that would be a great collab to see.
yeah.
Um, so with this Kickstarter going off, what are some of the rewards that you could tell us about?
There's a villain variant, um, and that variant actually comes with the main cover as well. There's a Last Age Sunstroms 3 bundle, so you can get both of those issues together. I have a trading card set with four cards of the new characters. There's a Last Age T-shirt with the cover of the book, and then there's one with the Protectorate emblem on the cover. I mean, on the actual T-shirt. There is my classroom poster set that has the positive affirmations along with the Hammer Blam characters on there. So there's 5 of those, and there is the Hammer Blam superset, and that gives you all of the books that we've done so far.
Wow, those are some really amazing rewards. You always have, like, the great rewards for your Kickstarters, I do have to admit that. It's always difficult for me to choose which reward set I wanna try to go to, and then, you know, it also all depends on how much I wanna get yelled at by Zach. I mean, sometimes he gets upset, and sometimes he's like, "Okay, this is a cool reward," especially
Uh-huh.
when it's like, it's his turn to get the T-shirt, so
Right.
but that's how do you come up with the reward system? Like, how do you co
I always look at the stuff that I want to get when I buy comics, and the things I like to get from comic shops. Some of the I was into cards when when I was collecting as a
Mhm.
teenager. So if they had a special card inside Wizard magazine, or another book, I was always into getting that. So I just try to look at it from a fan's perspective.
Okay. And you've been doing a lot of cons lately. Is it correct that I saw that you went to Greensboro,
Yeah,
Comic-Con,
yeah.
this past Saturday? How did that go for you?
That was a lot of fun. I don't think that one had been back since COVID, and
Oh,
and so
wow.
and so it was good to be back at that one, at the Greensboro Marriott, and it was a lot of fun, great crowd. So,
What's the next con you're going to?
Big Lit Comic Con back in Greensboro,
Oh, okay.
in 2 weeks, October 4th and 5th. So we'll be there.
Okay.
Yep.
And by any chance, are you doing NC Comic Con this year?
No, haven't been able to do that one yet. That's one
Okay.
I'd like to get to.
Okay. I could never remember if, 'cause it used to be 2 of them, and now they've gone down to 1, the
Yeah.
one in Durham. So I could never remember if you, have tabled at that one or not.
I I did it. probably 2018, I think.
Okay.
But I haven't been back to that one yet.
So, what is your favorite part right now about everything that you've been creating? What are you like giddy over?
Let's see. I'm excited about really being able to look at my table and my library and actually being able to see the progression of the stories, number one, because when you start writing these stories, it's always, I hope I get this far, I hope I can actually get to write this, and to actually be able to see, I did get to write it, and we got to put it out, that makes me feel good, to be able to see that, because some of the things that I'm writing now, I'm thinking, I hope I get to be able to do this,
Yeah.
uh, because they're so far out, and so, and like The Last Age, like I said, that's a work of just love, because I've been, like, if you go to my Kickstarter page, you'll see like some of the old artwork that I posted on there. That stuff is from like barely 2001.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
you know, and so I've been working on that a long time, and so just to be able to see it come out, and I've got the proof copy on my desk, and that makes me excited.
When somebody reads your books, what's the one thing you hope that they take away from your work?
Um, Hopefully you take away something that I got from the comics I was reading in high school, which is, um, you can do this too. When I was reading, X-Men in the 90s, and looking at, at Jim Lee, and looking at some of the guys that went on to do Image Comic. Um, that was important for my generation, because we were those kids that were sitting in desks at school and passing paper back and forth and saying, I made up this character, and look, hey, that's cool. We were making our own characters and comics in school back then, and to see these guys actually do it, it meant a lot to us as a generation. So I hope that I can be that for somebody else. And that's one reason I love talking to fans at cons is, when parents bring their kids to your table and say, hey, he does comic, my child likes to draw, talk to him, that's a big thing for me, to try to just inspire people.
That's always been one of your biggest advocates is just letting people know, hey, you can do it too. And
Yeah.
um, I didn't know if it had not necessarily changed, but if you had added something onto that. And I just like the fact that it's the it's the and also you're always willing to help too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have a step up, you're willing to put your hand out and reach. Have you ever done a panel before?
I've done one. I'm about to start showing up at some schools and doing, some anime clubs, and some art clubs and things like that. And so, just talking to kids and just showing them my process. I have a lot of students who want to do their own stories, and they like to be able to sit down and just talk about it, sometimes. And you know I just enjoy doing that, showing them how I do it. It doesn't, and you don't have to do it the way I do it, but this is a way to do it.
Process. And you help them try to find their own process and their
Yep.
own way, huh?
Yeah. And a lot of these kids in high school have some great styles, and they're already thinking way beyond, what I was thinking at their age. And so it's just great to see.
That's amazing. That's awesome. With all the live action shows, cartoons turning into shows and stuff,
Mhm.
have you ever thought about like, "Ooh, what would my characters be like live action? Who would play them?"
Um, Sometimes, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm such a big comic book animation person. you
Mhm.
know I just love to keep it in the art. I think sometimes, and not all the time, but sometimes, like, in especially in America, we think the final version of something is the movie, and sometimes the movie can't capture what you did art wise.
Yeah.
That's why like a lot of the movies that were made from anime, people was like, well, I didn't like it. Well, you didn't like it because what you loved about it was the animation.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And they can't
Yeah.
replicate. They can't replicate that.
That's
You know.
true.
And so, um, I would love to see some animated movies though. Animated Sunstroms would make my whole life. You know what I mean? So, but like, yeah, animated movie. Even taking it so far to being, um, an anime or even Pixar style. But I love animation.
Ooh,
That,
Pixar style.
that's my animation is one of my big loves. I grew up on the classic, Disney animation, and
Mhm.
graduated to like the afternoon cartoons and started watching Toonami, later on. And
Yeah.
so all of that's my stuff.
So could there possibly be an animated, even if it's like a short or, like a one-shot animated Sunstroms?
Well, if I can get my foot in the door in that arena, it will happen. It will
Yeah.
happen.
So after this anthology, it's number 4 that you're going into, comic book number 4?
Yeah, Sunstroms number 4 is coming up. When I get done with that one, then we're gonna do the collection
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, and do the graphic novel size, and I'm gonna put some script pages in there and some behind the scenes sketches, and it'll be a nice volume.
And more like omnibus style too?
I will try. I'm gonna see what I can do about a hardcover. Um, but if they price me out of it, it'll be
Yeah.
it'll be a soft cover for right now.
Completely understand. Are you gonna, include so I know you've done, music in one of them, which funny enough, I do have the flash drive right here.
There you go. There you go.
I do, I love it so much, like, it's such a great, attachment to add on. It's like, for your 4th sense kind of a thing,
Yeah.
instead of 3D, 4D. Do you think you're gonna do more of that style again?
I think so. The Princess Mirage character, I'm gonna bring her back around Sunstrom's 5 or 6, and so and she's my musical pop star, and so I'm gonna do some more things with her, and so there'll definitely be some music there. I was talking to some people that I know about possibly like doing a uh what would I call it, doing an album as if it would be in that world, and so maybe I can get that done.
Okay, that sounds fun. I love that you have so many characters to play with and grow with and shine with. It I know you have it all laid out, and it just amazes me, how well organized it all is. Do you,
Well,
like
well, I'm glad you think it's organized because if you can see my desk.
I was going to ask, like, is it sometimes tough to stay focused on the one character that you're writing about, or without having to shift? Like, how do you zone in on what you're working on at that moment?
Well, I grew up reading X-Men, and so I got obsessed at an early age with timelines. And so one thing that I'm really good at is keeping a notebook with this happens and then this happens and then this happens, and sometimes that stuff just gets ridiculous, but I have it kind of mapped out as far as where everything's going, um, and when the big character moments are supposed to happen, and so um, that's something that, like I said, has been an obsession since I was a kid, and so I've been keeping up with that for a while.
That makes sense, the X-Men and
Yeah,
Sunstroms kinda kinda go I see the connection now, it makes perfect sense. Um, not and so I know you draw inspiration from a little bit of everything, but what would you say is your main inspiration for them?
My main inspiration for everything is my dad's fault. Um, he took me to see Empire Strikes Back when I was 5, and that just kind of just changed my whole life. And so, only thing I remember from it is seeing the AT-AT walkers on the snow. That's all I remember as a kid. Of course, I've seen it a million times since then, but just the fact that just seeing all that imagination on the screen just kind of did it for me. And so that's been the biggest inspiration, is just having that, just it's almost like a never ending just source of ideas, and just having the, what's the word, just the permission to just put it out there, and just put it on the page and see what happens. And so that's kind of where I come from.
When you need that little boost, do you go back and watch the movie, or
Yeah, well, they showed a marathon like 2 days ago on FX, and so that's what I was doing.
so while you was drawing and posting the pictures,
Right.
Empire Strikes Back was in the background.
Yep.
I get that. I get that. For me, it's Back to the Future for me when I need that little, dopamine
Yep.
hit of
Mm-hmm.
creativity. Back to the Future, because especially the second one for me,
Yep.
because it's I don't know how many people out there have seen Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3, but 2, it's so intricate because he's twice over in the past, and he's watching himself redo the things that he did when he went to the past
Right.
first, and it's just so well done and, written so well that's what gets me, like, you know, it's just good writing.
Right.
So, for you, it's the AT-AT on the snow. For
Yep.
me, it's Marty McFly watching himself redo the exact same things that he did in the past. So it's insane. Um, so you're going to remind me the name of the convention again that you're
It's
doing.
it's Big Lick Comic Con.
Okay.
It's I think it's a company out of Virginia. That's what Danny told me yesterday. Um, but it's October 4th and 5th. Not Goldsboro, Greensboro Coliseum. And so that's where we'll be, the 4th and the 5th.
Okay. And then how does it feel when the fans come up to you and they're like, they recognize your work, they ask about more of your work. How does that make you feel?
Almost like, for real, you know, like, you know, there, the imposter syndrome is there, but at the same time, it's just a crazy feeling. I can't even really describe it, because I had somebody come up to me at one show and told me that a guy let him read the Sunstroms novel at work, and he had read the whole thing at work, borrowing it from somebody, and he wanted to buy his own copy.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
and I was like, man, that's crazy. Almost like, why would you want it? Why would you want it? But that's it's humbling.
That's awesome. Can you speak a little to the imposter syndrome? Like, how do you get those voices to shh?
Um, you just talk to it every day, and just when it pops up, you know, recognize it for what it is and tell it to shut up, and it'll eventually get quiet again. But
Yeah.
it's coming back, you know, and,
Yeah.
and you go through the same process.
It's a lot of the people that watch the show tend to have that. They always say, "Oh, I wish I could create the comic. I wish I could, I saw you interview so and so, and they're so, positive and so motivated, and I wish I was like that." And I'm like, if you knew that a lot of us, go
Right,
through the imposter syndrome, go through the
right,
blocks of, frustration as well. So that's why I wanted to touch a little bit on that so people can understand that it's a human thing.
right, right,
We all go through it, and it's just a matter of how everybody overcomes it differently. So depending on the person, it can help them a lot to
right.
stop thinking those thoughts. or at least quiet them for a little bit.
Right, quiet them for a little bit. Like
Yeah.
some days it's harder than others, and sometimes it's just like, looking yourself in the mirror. Hey, we're not doing this today,
Mhm,
and
mm.
trying to, one foot in front of the other one. You know,
Yeah, that's all you can do. Because I mean, nobody's gonna make these dreams come true for you except yourself, and so it's just
there
how
you go.
badly do you want your dream to come true.
That's right.
And you've done an amazing job bringing your characters to life and letting
Thank
them breathe and having their moment to shine, and through that you shine as well. So it's amazing. And um to think, I think back to the very beginning when we first met, somebody had told me about your book and I was like, yeah, sure, I'd love to read it. And then look at you now. Now you've got a whole collection and
you.
you're
Yep.
just
I
growing.
remember, like I was telling my wife, I remember we did Greenville Comic Con. That was our first show. We had I had a stack of novels and a tablecloth, and that was it. You know, and just to see it to go, 3 issues of the comic book, a source book, trading cards, the different prints that I sell, and things like that. I'm really happy with where we are right now, and now I'm at a point where I can, now that I have more on my table, I can, and more in my that I can sell online, I can kind of create at a different pace now. I don't have to try to get stuff out. I can kind of,
Mhm.
sit back and really create like I want to.
If you could go back to your younger self, the person that started writing the very first sentence, and you go back to that to younger Gene,
Oh Lord, okay.
what would you say to him to keep his encouragement going?
Um, I had a student ask me this, something we were writing a couple years ago, and I told them I would tell him it's going to be okay, and that's it.
That's it. That's powerful right there and all on its own.
Yep,
It's gonna be okay. And sometimes we do need to hear that. It's just gonna be okay.
yep.
It's amazing. Well, Jean, I appreciate you taking the time
Yeah,
for the
always,
Yes, I'm
always.
always so honored that you come on my little show here and honor me with your presence and your amazing work.
Wait, you
And
want to know why? Because you were the first person that gave my work the time of day, and so I'm always gonna come back.
aw, I
Yeah,
love it. And aw, thank you. Thank you for trusting me with your work and
yeah,
always you're the virtual door, the physical door, every door is always open to you and your wonderful wife because you guys I feel like I am a part of your family, like your sister, your cousin.
definitely,
I
exactly.
definitely feel it. And all the links to Jean's um socials and the Kickstarter will be in the description below. Jean, thank you again so much.
No problem, no problem.
Sweet. Thank you again to Gene for coming onto the show and talking to us about his new Kickstarter. If you enjoyed that interview, you'll enjoy this one next.